Okay. So, Chucky asked me yesterday to do a lightning talk about submitting proposals for conferences. So this is kind of the basic process. You see a conference, they go, all right, we'd like proposals, we want people to talk. So you have an idea and you write it down and you send it in, and that's fine. Which, okay, not really, but a lot of people kind of think it's this big thing, and I don't really know what I could talk about. What would people even get out of my talk? So really, if you boil it down to, you go to conferences to learn things. You want to give a talk that people are going to learn something from. So what are attendees going to learn from your talk? But I don't have any ideas, you say. Well, make a list. Sit down, honestly, just write down a list of things you're passionate about, things you're really interested in, things that are your side projects, things you do at work, even just things that your team might have solved, a problem that you've solved. You might think it's inconsequential. Oh, we just had this minor problem with a particular build tool and we came up with a way of working around it. That's fine, because not everyone actually knows what you know, and a lot of the times the best received talks at conferences are the ones where you've solved a problem and you go through a case study. There are benefits that you get out of talking at a conference. You get to travel to all sorts of different places. Most of the good tech conferences in our industry will pay for your flights and accommodation. You get to go see new places, meet new people. You do get a fair bit of a career boost out of it, just because people see your talk, with all the conferences these days being recorded. I've got, strangely, a standing invitation for lunch in Seattle from someone I've never met just because of a conference talk I've done. You get pushed out of your comfort zone, which can be scary, but once you've done it once, you want to kind of keep doing it. And my sister works in an academic field, and when I've described the conferences that we have, she's got incredibly jealous, because she said in her field, when you're invited to talk, invited by the conference, you don't even submit your proposal. They've wanted you to your conference and you get a discount off the ticket price. That's it. And you might get some tea and coffee. When you think about the conferences that we have in our industry, do not take that for granted. It's a wonderful experience that we get to have. And yes, there are downsides. For a start, if you're a font nerd, it is nerve-wracking giving a conference talk, but even the most experienced speakers, people who do TED Talks, the people who are developer evangelists, they get nervous before every single talk. They've described this well. So if you're nervous, that's fine. Everyone gets nervous, but I think it's worth it. Now, the other thing that I hear about submitting proposals is, oh no, I wouldn't have a chance of even getting accepted. Okay, so first of all, the supportive community that you talked about, I love the fact that I can just go on Twitter one night and ping a whole bunch of tech conference accounts and say, do you have any stats on how many people get accepted versus how many people put in submissions? And I get back responses instantly from around the world. So for the conferences we had in Melbourne, there were about 500 talk submissions in total. And when you look at the number of speaking slots, yeah, okay, so that's only 3%. Other conferences, it's about 9% of the people who put in a proposal actually get to talk. But the JSConf organiser really broke it down pretty well. So yeah, there's 550 proposals for their conference, but they break it down to the good proposals, which is down to about half of them. And then they do various different rounds of selection, mostly anonymous, so that they are picking based entirely on the talk content and not the reputation of the speaker. So if your proposal is good, you have, as I said, a 1 in 5 chance. And that's what got me in. It's just the strength of the proposal alone. Now, of course, with a 1 in 5 chance, you've got a 4 in 5 chance of not speaking. But don't be discouraged by that. Submit to other conferences. Submit to the same conference again. You can work on the proposal, you can improve it. And this is approved by Kenneth Ormandy, who spoke at CSSConf last year. And he wrote a post. So he spoke at 4 events last year, and every single one of them he'd applied in previous years and been rejected. But he applied again and got through. It's just practice, practice, practice. There are some other wonderful advice posts out there, which I'll also send out on the CJS hashtag on Twitter. Various links on all the different things that go into submitting a proposal, writing a proposal. And then, of course, there's sometimes the best of the rest conferences, where JSConf.eu had a mini conference called Reject JS. One down in Melbourne had Decompress, where you still actually get to see some really good speakers from local areas. Like Mike. Hi, Mike. And get feedback from other people when you're submitting a proposal. Just bouncing ideas off people is very, very handy, because as Shaki was telling me today with Jacob's proposal for JSConf.eu, just a bit of back and forth, a bit of rewording, and just small little word changes can make all the difference. Which brings me into neatly what organisers of conferences are actually looking for in a really good talk proposal. And, well, I don't know, because I've never actually organised a conference. If only we actually had someone here who has organised a conference that is potentially international. Sharky! Yeah. I'll hand over to Sharky, who can tell you all about it.
If you've got the slide up that I sent to you, I'll talk about it.
I can grab the image.
Yeah, do that.
All right.
We're going to pull up the stuff that we did at Jacob today. The process is hard to do when there's 500, because often the 500 aren't very positive, and that's the hardest thing to get through. So if your presentation, if you can switch it so that your message is a positive message about what you're trying to talk about, that makes it easy for people to get interested in what you're going to say. That's the first thing I try and do with it. You need to have a clear message early on in your presentation, suggestions about what you're going to speak about, not just at the very end sort of tack everything on. Keep it as simple as possible. While no one actually, as far as I know, no one will hold you to speaking about the thing which you spoke about in your presentation in the CFP. Everyone wants you there because of your CFP, so it's understood that's what you're going to be talking about. But if you need to change it, then it's not beyond the realms of possibility for you to change it. No one's going to be that shocked and stunned. As Gilmore said, come up with a list of ideas. We were talking to you at the beginning of the evening saying, I've definitely got nothing to speak about. And by the end of the conversation, you had 3 things on the list you could speak about. 2. You could talk about the third missing. It's not easy to do, but you work with people. You talk to people every day. You come to these meetings. If you want to get a start, do what Jacob has done, and you come and you speak at CJS. And if CJS with 100 and something people is too big, then go to React Sydney, which is one step down with just under 100 people. And then if that's not working for you, I was going to be negative then and say to Rob, speak at like a Scala meeting when there's 4 people in the room. But Rob spoke at RailsCamp last weekend about JavaScript, because that's what you do at RailsCamp, it's the thing. But he's come back, it was scripting and sort of fits in here. He'll soon come and talk with us about what he's learnt there. And you pick small groups, you start speaking it out, and you end up with a big presentation. So the top one, can you make it bigger? Is what Jacob started out with. So do the solid principles left. So this is the first thing.
Do you want the mic?
Be good. Write it well. You don't speak as if you're Yoda unless you actually are. Do the solid principles left you shaking like jelly? Are you trying to be dry? but left feeling like you're standing out in the rain. If we do that, we come down. And then underneath that, it's just me dropping ideas back and forward. If you're not open to the changes that someone is offering to you, then that could be a sign that it's not the right time for you to do a presentation because you're a bit worried about what's going on. But try and be open to people's suggestions. So I said, add the word leave in, add the word are in, and then started to actually change it slightly more dramatically. And then we said, but do the solid principles leave you shaking like jelly? Are you trying to be dry but are left feeling like you're standing out in the rain? So that was still a bit long. And as we go down, you see that we started to get the sentences started to get shorter and the message started to get clearer. And that's the most important thing, is to be able to get across quickly to people what you're trying to say. It helps if you've got a hook that everybody else hasn't got. I remember when I first started CJS, I thought, oh my goodness, everyone does jQuery. We're going to end up with wall-to-wall jQuery presentations and no one's going to know what JavaScript actually is. We've had one jQuery presentation ever, and it was on someone who actually went into the internals of jQuery, looked at the JavaScript. Try not to go, okay, I've just looked at Twitter and these are things that are trending on Twitter right now, so that's what I'm going to talk about. Come up with an angle that you find that you can talk to people about again and again in different meetings, so that there's a bit of consistency going on. But most importantly, put these things together. Just try it. Get this, send it to your best friend, send it to someone who doesn't like you very much, even better, and they'll be even more honest with you. But just try stuff. What are you saying? I but what the hell am I doing up here again?
Sharky, while you're there, can I ask a question?
Please.
Why are you DMing yourself?
Because someone has to. Anyway. No, because it's a good way to send messages to myself. So I've got 3 different machines on 4 different locations. So
it's okay. You don't need to explain. You've destroyed the comic value.
You mean by explaining it, Joe? You reach the comic value? Oh my god. No, yes, I could explain that again. But another quick. What are we doing here? Let's go.
What does CFP stand for?
CFP stands for Call for Proposal. Yeah, so there's places that go, either type in all the words, call for proposal, or just type in CFP. I think it's safe. Yeah? Don't mispronounce or don't misspell one of our meetings in Sydney we go to, but CFP should be okay. But try it. Go home, Google CFP, get involved. Even if you don't make it to, we'll do, you should all go home. If I had a group of people who were assembling generally, we can do a reject conf for people that even make it to go to EU in Australia. So if you send a proposal through, send it to me as well. Actually, first of all, send it to me first, and then we'll send it to them. And we'll do our best to get it tweaked, and we'll try, if we don't get you across to Europe, we'll have you in Australia. We'll do a little mini conference here in Australia. How's that sound? Come on, people! Yeah!